Hello everyone. Today we'll be traveling back to the times of the Revolution to cover some of the most interesting topics in American history. However, we'll be visiting some of the more recent events first and traveling back in time as the exploration continues to discover how the American Revolution really started. We'll start with a fairly controversial topic, the no taxation without representation phrase. No taxation without representation was a phrase used by Americans in 1775 and 1776. The Bill of Rights in 1689 stated that taxes could not be put upon colonists and Americans unless the Parliament of England directly agreed. However, this did not happen, thus the creation of this well-justified phrase. If it hadn't been for the Bill of Rights, we may not have had the perseverance to get ourselves through the war. Just before this, we had Paul Revere, a silversmith turned patriot who was born in 1734 and is most known for his famous midnight ride in 1775 to tell the people of the colonies that, quote-unquote, the British were coming. Someone saw this heroic act and recorded it on their cell phone, and it went viral. I mean, how else would I have ever gotten this footage? Oh well, it's not that important. Paul Revere's ride saved a multitude of lives and got the Americans ready for what might have been an unexpected attack. After the war, Paul returned to his metalworking ways, and has become the first person to successfully turn copper into sheets to use for ships' outer edges. Let's continue on to our next topic, the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence was, well, what it sounds like. It declared that all the people of America were to be split away from the cruel ruling hand of the Europeans, and were to be able to live with their own country. It was signed by the Second Continental Congress on July 4, 1776. However, we Americans translated freedom into the idea of light up the sky with massive explosions of colored fire. I don't know, it's a free country, isn't it? All of those little video games you play have some sort of strategy, am I right? However, this strategy you talk about is no match for the Battle of Yorktown, with your host, General George Washington. Washington is the most known general of the war, mainly because he won. Oh yeah, and he was the first president of the United States, a strong and long-lasting patriot, all of this amongst other things. But the Battle of Yorktown had another competitor, General Cornwallis. Cornwallis was an army general for the British, or the Loyalists. After George Washington captured Trenton on Christmas Day, Cornwallis was sent by General Howe to deal with them. However, Cornwallis was not able to get Washington to leave. After several more battles with the Americans, he surrendered his army in 1781. Cornwallis was able to give the Americans what they needed, hope. Too bad they only got their hope when he was defeated. If you like tea, today is a sad day for you. Here we can see the Boston Tea Party, an event in 1773 to oppose the New Tea Act. As you can see, it wasn't really a party at all. I mean, revolutionists boarded a European shipment of tea and threw its contents into the bay. The Tea Act was based around the idea that colonists could only buy tea after they paid their taxes, something which directly opposes the No Taxation Without Representation Act that we talked about earlier. This obviously made the colonists furious, thus creating one of the most commonly known events in American Revolution history. Some might argue, it's just tea, but to the Americans, the tea was a way of getting the colonists to do what the Loyalists wanted. But Boston had not seen the end of tragic events. As we travel farther back in time, we will see the Boston Massacre, a time in which British forces shot and killed 5 people without orders after being attacked by a mob. At the time, the civilians and the government had an unstable relationship, and the mob was the result of a great dislike that British soldiers and American citizens had for each other. Benjamin Franklin, that guy you've all heard about who made the lightning rod and all those little comics on the backs of cereal packages. Well, as a matter of fact, he did a lot to support the American Revolution, too. He helped make sure that shipments from the colonists from France made it to the United States. In 1776, he signed the Declaration of Independence, which was, kind of important. Apart from that, he was a great inventor and created many commonly used items today, like bifocals and the modern furnace.